れは軍隊のビデオです。
Gundam Assemble, a new tabletop game based on the Gundam series, was just announced by Bandai Spirits, the toy arm of Bandai Namco. It brought back memories of the Gundam cartoons I used to watch when I was a kid, so this video will be dedicated to Gundam Wing and its epic opening. Welcome, I am Flo from Chronicles of Tiny Battles, and I will show you how I turned my Gundam from being a plastic toy put on a shelf into an immersive scene that brings the miniature to life and that puts a smile on your face every time you see it as you walk past it in your home. If at any point of this video you see something that you really like, or you start to think that this is not too shabby, drop a like and subscribe. Why? Because I will make more of the content that you like. Let's do it! These Gundam kits offer miniatures with advanced articulation mechanics and different weapon and hand options, giving you lots of small parts to cut from a large number of sprues. I guess the idea is to give the impression that you're building your robot piece by piece, which is more or less what is happening, and that's one of the aims of these kits. To be honest, I think it's a shame that all the complex mechanics are ultimately hidden by the final armor plates that cover everything up. I understand that it's all about the pleasure of building. The instructions are clear, but going back and forth between the different sprues is time-consuming, and your eyes tire quickly trying to find the little letters and numbers to make sure you're cutting the right pieces, given that there are several dozen pieces, maybe more than 100 in total. Still, it was fun for me, who's used to Games Workshop kits, to test the mobility of the pieces. And to tell the truth, the fun may even have gone a little too far. The end of the assembly process is truly rewarding, assembling the subparts together to finally materialize your Gundam. The last stage is to assemble the weapons, and at this point, navigation between the different sprues is much smoother, as there aren't many parts left on it. Now that I mention it like that, it sounds like I was in a lot of pain during the assembly, but in fact it went well, especially as once you've made one arm, the arm on the other side is exactly the same process, same for the legs. Now that the assembly is complete, we can start painting. The basic guidelines were to have an almost totally black armor with lighter details and blue lights, but we'll see that the plan has evolved a little along the way. You can see that the armor is shining with an ugly sheen. This is because it's a real challenge to paint a big figurine like this, that is designed to be handled and manipulated all over the place. In general, paint doesn't like it very much. So I applied coats of varnish after each major painting stage, and after the undercoat to begin with. At the end, everything will be corrected with a mattifying varnish. The first deviation from the initial plan was to paint certain parts with a kind of military khaki green. This adds a variation of color to the black and grey, and gives a relevant military feel, as our combat armor is intended for combat. After a few touches of dark grey to improve the legibility of the figurine without altering its predominantly black color, the next step is to identify and mark out the points that will emit light, which was to be blue according to the initial plan. This is just a base coat, as I will be airbrushing again later. But before the airbrush for the lighting effects, I need to finish the armor. I've taken a small piece of sponge to do some damage and weathering on the armor, on the darker parts, but especially on the lighter parts, in grey and khaki, because they will be much more visible. The black wear effects are reminiscent of cell shading, which consists of imitating the drawn style of comics and manga on a miniature. And what could be more appropriate for a Gundam? Finally comes the magical airbrush stage, where everything lights up. It was while I was painting all the blue parts over again in white that I had a revelation. The lights shouldn't be blue, but yellow, or lime green, acidic and venomous. This will complement the khaki green and create a great contrast with the black, mimicking the colors of the Hornet. And again, we're talking of Gundam here, so the Japanese giant hornet seems like the perfect animal, or insect in this case, of our giant robotic samurai. Because it's acidic or venomous, it's quite threatening and dangerous, without being pure aggressiveness like red, because a samurai must control his impulses and be his own master. This guy we are painting is a good guy who shouldn't be messed with, a sort of Omega of the shadows. Finally, I'm going to work on the scenery, so that the miniature is living in its environment rather than just being placed on a shelf. I find that it offers a much more immersive experience. And so, a couple of skewers of asteroids will complement the main course, and you can get ready to enjoy a subtle reveal full of sensitivity and poetry. Tell me if you have enjoyed the video, and if you have and you want to support the channel further, consider joining my Patreon. It's something that I see as the old-fashioned patronage, where the nobles and the wealthy would drop a penny to the artist so that he can sustain himself and live another day to perform his art when it is appreciated. The first that comes to my mind is Jean-Baptiste Poquelin, also known as Molière, a French 17th century comedian and satirical playwright who died in disgrace. If you choose to become a patron to the channel, you will allow me to produce more often. And for that, you will have my heart. I'm Flo from Chronicles of Tiny Battles. If you like this one, you can check out other videos on the channel. See you next time.